The Fearless Podcast, in a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Fearless Podcast. This is episode 62.
Episode 62. Good to be here in the new podcast setup.
I have my faithful sidekick, Matt, is back in the helm. As you can see, we've been a little missing in action.
Yeah. Taking it easy.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been relaxing and
Yep.
vacating and all those other things that aren't happening right now. But it's that time of year and it's busy. So we're trying to get it in.
Yeah. Yeah. We had some family come down for the week and we were like, we're just going to chill out and soak it all in and swim in the pool and do all that type of fun stuff.
Take it easy.
Yeah. We had a couple jobs to do, but other than that, it was pretty chill. And then it's probably been the craziest week out of the year, quite literally, with all the news that's been going on and everything like that.
Yeah, and I wanted to cover a topic, but then something happened, and I figured since we had the time on the schedule to do the podcast, the first thing I thought we could talk about was the assassination attempt. And I know everybody's talking about it, and we just kind of wanted to chime in with our 2 cents.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah, I always like hearing other people's opinions on the situation, you know.
And when it happened, you know, we don't watch TV or mainstream news or anything.
No.
When it happened, a buddy of mine texted me, and I forget exactly how the text went. It was peculiar. It was a little bit incoherent. Billy, you know, you send incoherent text messages because Billy's probably listening. But so it's just said, well, looks like someone took a shot at Trump in his ear. So then I'm like,
took a photo of his ear.
Did they whisper in his ear? Because usually when somebody takes a literal shot in your ear, it means you're dead.
Yeah.
Now, we understand now what has happened.
Sure.
And, you know, immediately there's an inordinate amount of disinformation. There's always
it was incredible.
Multiple information.
Incredible amount of disinformation. It was like, shoo.
And we know from all of these other events, and whether they were natural events or orchestrated events, even when these events can partially be natural and partially orchestrated or whatever have you. I realize there's an enormous amount of conspiracy theory around this. And all I said when we started talking about it as a family, I said, this time there is going to be so much video evidence of what happened. You really just need to wait about 3 or 4 days. And there's going to be so much.
Everybody was filming.
Yeah, there's going to be so much video evidence.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of peripheral stuff that kind of speaks to society and different things I think that we could talk about. That's very interesting, to say the least. But I don't think I have to break down what happened. No, I think everybody's aware.
There's plenty of other people that have been doing that.
Yeah, there was Trump held a rally in Pennsylvania, and there was an assassination attempt. And of course, it was a lone gunman with a first, middle, and last name. And so there's lots of overlap there with MK Ultra and all that stuff. And then this guy kind of has like a track record. And of course, he was on the radar.
Sure.
And they knew about him. And then as things advance and more information comes out, you know, now we know even potentially that we know that the authorities were notified he was on the roof at least 3 minutes before he shot.
Yep.
We know that the Secret Service snipers had a beat on him before he shot. There's massive discrepancy in the shot count.
Yeah.
Because there's potentially 8 or 9 shots.
Yeah.
And it clearly appears from the footage that the Secret Service sniper only fired 1 shot. That's what it looks like. And then which round they're attributing that in that sequence of events. There's just an inordinate amount of
Then you have the water tower and supposedly somebody being on the water tower and all types of weird stuff.
Yeah.
All types of crazy stuff.
Yeah. So, and so whenever there's an event, we know for a fact, you know, what's the quote from the previous CIA director, we will know that our disinformation is working when everything that the American citizen believes is a lie.
Yeah.
That's why they immediately flood all of the information outlets with misinformation, disinformation, and then there's just human error with people that misremember or see things wrong or hear things wrong, and then they repeat it.
Yeah, but the mainstream media, like instantly, like CNN, like instantly was like,
crazy.
Oh yeah, Trump just fell down. Like, what do you mean he just fell down? We all watched it live. Like, he obviously got shot at. You hear these bangs, and then they're gonna like try to act like all this other stuff, like the teleprompter or something got shot, exploded, and then glass cut his ear.
And then there's a whole opposite side of that spectrum
crazy stuff
where it's all completely false and it's all fabricated and it's all, this totally false flag and nobody really died and nobody really got hurt. And that happens every time too. Yeah. And, there's a lot of that going on. And then there's a lot of people that are just sending out stuff that's unverified and it's complete misinfo, disinfo.
Yeah.
So as a, and I'm old enough to, I do remember that was in my childhood. I do remember the Reagan assassination attempt. And interestingly enough, y'all, that guy is on YouTube and has a YouTube channel, and he plays acoustical folk guitar on YouTube. Just something to think about as we think about mental illness and all these different things. Was that John Hinckley Jr., if memory serves me correctly? And now that I'm carnivore and the mental fog is gone, I'm pretty sure it was John Hinckley Jr. And I'm also pretty sure that you can search YouTube and find John Hinckley Jr.'s YouTube channel. And he plays, I think it's folk acoustic guitar. And that's fascinating. And there's an inordinate amount of information about all of that and how that went down. And it's a rabbit hole.
Yeah, the whole thing is very interesting because, we always try to question everything to an extent, but if it was a setup, there's so many like crazy things if it wasn't a setup, right? Let's just come from that point of view, right? It's not a setup at all, which it totally could not be a setup or whatever. Is okay. Trump gets shot at, he falls to the ground, and then all of his bodyguards there trying to cover him up, except for a couple of the chicks. They can't even put their guns away or whatever.
Hey, easy.
So
anyway, male chauvinist pig.
So anyway, and then when he shows back up, he has all males, which is kind of awesome. All male bodyguards, which is kind of hilarious. But anyway, so when you go back up for the photo op, why there's this weird photo op which is kind of fishy, but whatever. We don't, even though they yell, shoot her down, you don't know if it is in real life. Like you were saying, they don't just send one assassin. Well, they always send at least two.
And protocol is never assume.
Yeah.
You always assume that there's more than one shooter. You always assume that there's multiple shooters. I mean,
so to instantly stand back up relatively within a couple seconds and then to fully expose your head is like
3 times
foolish.
It's very, and, and we can explain that away to, adrenaline and all these different things. And I realize it can be explained away. It still doesn't make me want to buy into it.
Yeah. It's very interesting at the least.
Yeah. And it, and the other thing that I can't wrap my head around is this, they're playing this dialectic game, this left-right thing about Trump's regime requested more Secret Service from DHS because all of these different people like Tucker Carlson, like Alex Jones, and you hear in all these interviews, and they have been predicting that there would be assassination attempts on Trump's life. And then there was this New Ager prophet guy that literally supposedly prophesied, and I listened to it, that Trump would get shot in the ear and all this stuff. Now, you could look at that two different ways. I mean, now if somebody that wants to fabricate an event heard that, they would say, hey, this is the way the event should look. You know, and I realize that's really deep conspiratorial stuff. And you don't even have to go there. Here's my point. They're requesting additional Secret Service. It got denied, right? And you know that there's issues, obviously, with the Secret Service. There have been issues with the Secret Service. You know that there are issues with all of the alphabet agencies. So why would not Trump, who is an incredible genius, you know, we're supposed to chalk this all up to either blatant negligence or crony politics, or, you know, the red and blue divide, and it's just, you know, two political factions infighting, and this is a tit for tat thing. So it's either they're really stupid or they're stupid on purpose. But when you're really smart, like Trump, and you're really wealthy, why wouldn't you, just as a smart billionaire, you could easily bake into your security infrastructure a lead guy? Hey, this is my chief of security. You have to, you know, he's going to recon you guys. He's going to talk about whatever the sit rep is, or, you know, you can throw out all your military jargon for whatever. Okay. And if he had a go-to operations guy, I mean, everybody and their mom would have had somebody on that roof, and everybody and their mom would have had somebody on every roof there, even the roofs outside of that circle radius, because
of course,
even the roofs outside of that circle radius had optimal line of sight. And also, I mean, talented snipers can shoot things from
really
incredibly far away. So, you know, there's so many more questions than there are answers. And the hardest part that I'm wrapping my head around, I can clearly see I can see an MK Ultra Patsy guy who's mentally unstable, and they already know about him, and he's in the right place at the right time, and somebody sets a ladder there. And even though all these people watch him climb up there and tell the authorities and all this stuff, and okay, it's a comedy of errors and it's not funny.
No.
Okay. And so this supposedly happens, but then you have the sniper with a bead on him that doesn't shoot. And so many people now, they want to discount all this. Well, you don't understand. I mean, put yourself in the sniper's shoes. You know, let's say you were the Secret Service sniper. No, there's a reason that you practice drill and muscle memory. And it's because you're never supposed to trust anything except your reflexes. You have an order, you know, engage target, drop them. You know, that's your order. Your order is protect the president.
Yeah.
So that means engage target, drop the target, cease the target, right?
When there's people, oh, he has a gun, he's on the roof for several minutes straight, you know, there's no excuses of, oh, well, they might have thought he was a photographer or something crawling around on the roof. I'm like, no,
there's protocol. You don't get to do, you know, first off, the perimeter is secured. And this is just, there's way too many coincidences and conveniences.
Way too many.
And unfortunately, in my opinion, if you're Trump and you're smart, which he is incredibly smart, I'm not knocking the guy, but anybody that's as smart as him and as wealthy as him would be looking to at least keep themselves alive, supposedly to just make America great again, right? I mean, you can't do what you're telling everybody you're going to do if you're dead.
Yeah.
And, you know, just because politically your political opponent won't, okay, first off, okay, Donald Trump, and he's a deal maker, and if I would have talked to him, it would have been great, and it would have been tremendous and bigly, right? So like, okay, you asked DHS for more Secret Service. They didn't give it to you. So what's your solution? Well, I'll take a bullet to the head.
Yeah.
Like that's your solution. No,
he's not that stupid.
Yeah. So, you know, and so I'm not saying I'm not saying that the whole thing was a setup, but what I'm having an incredible time justifying in my own head that he allowed that scenario to play out. He's way too smart of a guy. And, you know, and maybe we will see different adjustments and maybe it won't quite kind of be that way. But you can't have guys like Dan Bongino said, oh no, that, you know, they had requested this so many times and they were denied. Okay, well, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And if you're going to like fix everything and make everything great and find solutions and broker deals and work this kind of stuff out, why didn't you come up with an alternative solution that involved you securing your area so that no one would have the opportunity to miss your head?
Correct.
And hit you in the ear. And, you know, and I realized the whole thing, like, you know, you get up and fight. Somebody just tried to kill me. And so now I'm ticked and I'm going to do all this stuff, but I'm just having a really bigly challenge trying to reconcile the fact that and this is what makes the R&D thing so dumb, because they'll do this stuff. Well, they wouldn't give us the extra security. Okay, well, you're a billionaire and you have private security and you have Blackwater. And I didn't get to listen to Eric Prince spin on the whole thing. Whoever Eric Prince was on somewhere, Tucker or Redacted or something. And, but like, you know, it's all going to be spin because he has his own money and he would want to stay alive. And I think everybody would appreciate the fact that he doesn't want to be killed or assassinated. And at a minimum, I realize there's protocols. I realize there's multiple people involved, and I realize there's a chain of command. And well, listen, Secret Service has the pole position, you know, and then everybody has to answer them. I get all that. But as a thinking brain, billionaire, very smart guy, you can put checks and balances in place to at least eliminate 99 of 100 factors of what happened.
Yeah.
Because every person that looked at this scenario said, how could this have happened?
Well, I just remembered now, there was this lady at the Trump rally and they interviewed her or whatever. And she said she had to protect her mom. She got her mom down on the floor. It was like, don't stand up because we don't know if this guy has a machine gun, which is actually very interesting what she said next. And she said, because if he literally could, if he did have a machine gun, we would have all, like, he could have got a lot of us, which is very true too. That's just another thing. Like, if somebody just wanted to go and literally shoot hundreds of people, it would have been very, very easy.
Yeah. And this speaks to the cultural.
So there's multiple things. It's not just killing the president, but also a liability for everybody else that's there too.
And it speaks to the cultural commentary that I took away from this. That's hard to, and here's another thing that's very hard to calculate. So we hear gunshots. Okay. So supposedly maybe some people thought they were fireworks, right? So first off, you have many people in the crowd saying, hey, there's a guy on that roof with a gun. This venue wasn't that big. Okay. You have lots of people on audio and video. Hey, there's a guy on the roof with a gun, and then pop, pop. And then in addition to pop, 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 people get hit with bullets. People get hit in the head with bullets. Yeah. Brains go flying. Yeah. Tragic. This man protected his family. He covered his family.
Yeah.
And he paid the ultimate price with his life, protecting his family. This man's a absolute role model and hero. I'm not mocking the man, but you have these incredibly tragic events, which many people need to be held accountable for. That can't be brushed under the rug.
No.
Well, they're just negligent idiots. And, you know, this is just the way government is. It's just a bunch of negligent idiots. And so we just chalk this up to, you know, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. All of that is troubling. But in my opinion, what's far more troubling, And this, okay, I'm going to preface this. If all of these people in the stands were real human beings, and they weren't like, this wasn't a LARP, or these weren't paid actors, and I'm not saying they were, but all I'm saying is you had gunfire.
Correct.
You had the president, something happened to him. Okay, let's say at the exact split second, you didn't know that he was grazed with a bullet, and he goes to the ground. And then within either prior to that second or immediately after that second, 3 people get hit with gunfire.
Correct.
1 man, brain matter goes, 2 other people critically injured.
Yeah.
And you have people sitting there with their phone,
still
continuing to film,
still sitting up or standing up,
and not moving. And then
it's incredible.
And the thing is once the Secret Service react, okay, then if you're remotely intelligent, oh, crap, somebody just shot at the president. Yeah. I mean, that's what happened. This wasn't
down.
And like everybody sits there.
Yeah.
And then there's this, if you go back and watch the footage, I don't know if there was a movie, I can't remember what movie it was, but Rob Schneider played this like dirty Spanish character. And look, I didn't write the script and I didn't make him play the character, but, and he goes, "You can do it." Right. And there's this guy in the crowd, right dead smack center. And he looks incredibly.
You mean the homeless guy?
Yeah. He looks incredibly dirty and, long unkept hair.
He's a shady character.
He looked dirty. He looked homeless.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's sitting there filming with his camera. And it's the most bizarre made for TV, whatever, like prop. There was a lot of that too. And like I said, I'm not going to go all conspiratard on this, but there's so much
crazy stuff.
And then what's more peculiar than the homeless guy sitting there, because the other way that I completely understand these events is when you are that close to the president, you are completely vetted, background checked, all that stuff. Yeah. And I am almost certain that this kind of stuff happens at rallies too. So all of those people in that bleacher directly behind the president, like the homeless guy, was vetted. So I'm like, so it's not like you crawled out of your cardboard box and crawled up there with your, $1,500.
You can see him if you go on to Redacted's channel. You'll see him. Yeah,
it's very strange, and that's not to make fun of that guy either. But I'm just telling you,
it's weird.
He was incredibly out of place, and I'm not trying to inculcate him into what happened.
No,
but he did kind of look like a prop, like he was paid to sit there. And that was weird. That's all I'm saying. But what was more weird than that is the large majority of people that sat there or stood there and filmed and stood up.
Yeah. I think people are so disconnected nowadays, and they're on these stupid phones so long that they,
like when you go to the fireworks and nobody's looking at the fireworks, but everybody's
that was sad this 4th of July. There was a lot of people watching the fireworks or whatever, but all the young kids, like literally not watching the fireworks, but like had to watch the fireworks through their phone or just like looking down at their phone the whole time.
It's a social commentary. Yeah. And, I definitely took that away as, as tragic and as sad between the loss of life and, an assassination attempt of anybody, is terrible. And then, there's a lot of
factors,
things that don't make sense. A lot of things I can't wrap my head around. And, that doesn't really make it one way or another. I just wanted to comment on it because these are the questions that I'm trying to answer in my mind that maybe through the course of the next couple of weeks. Now, here's another thing here's one thing that I hope that doesn't happen that I do think probably will happen is I think maybe in this whole solidarity movement, there is going to be a call for gun reform. And that wouldn't surprise me. And that wouldn't.
Dude, we didn't even talk about the biggest thing. Well, not the biggest thing, but another gigantic thing that jumped out too. And this, I don't know, y'all, but this really is weird too, is another red flag. the shooter supposedly had a Demolition Ranch t-shirt on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Either a t-shirt or a hoodie. And I don't know, when I heard that, it just seemed like a red herring. Like, it just seemed like weird. It was really, really, I was like,
well,
especially,
is that too
good to be true? Like,
yeah, especially if you don't know what the demolitia is, it would be really easy to be like, oh yeah, this guy's one of these 3% of militia guys. You know what I mean? And versus if you know the context of what it is, it's incredibly benign.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. One, that he would have the t-shirt on. Two, with his background and what he's been recorded as saying, that t-shirt doesn't make sense that he would only be wearing that t-shirt.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So it really makes you think that I don't know. It's just one. It's just another one of these bizarre things, and after a while, you can only chalk so many things up to coincidental, and
I know,
and it's just and the way we always talk, who, what, when, where, why, key bono, who benefits, like just look at it, gather as much information, draw a logical, rational conclusion if there is one, and sometimes there's not. So the one bad thing that I think is going to come out of this from conservatives is I think there's going to be a lot more talk about gun control, and and I think there should be a lot of talk about mental illness and SSRIs. And hey, here's what we personally know: half of everybody we know is on psych meds.
Yeah.
If I start counting down lists and everybody that's on happy pills and Wellbutrin and this, that, and the other, it's half of everybody we know. And the other half of everybody we know is on every other pharmacological agent, whether it's, statins and all these other things that affect your mind. Okay. And they affect your blood-brain barrier and the fat content, then what keeps your mind pliable and healthy. And so that whole gun control thing is going to, unfortunately, probably happen. Maybe it won't, but I really think that will probably be a result of this. And
possibly
the other thing that I think has to happen, Donald Trump promised to release the JFK files, right? So he promised to do a lot of things that he didn't do. Okay. So then he didn't do it. And, supposedly the talking points always comes back to, well, this is a matter of national security.
Yeah.
And that's why these things never get unsealed, right? Well, now supposedly this same exact coup, or whatever you want to call it, this exact same thing happened to you. So if this really happened to you, and in your heart of hearts, that, why wouldn't you want to rip the face off of the JFK thing and release the documents and let the chips fall where they may?
Yeah.
What are you worried about? Somebody assassinating you?
Yeah.
Like, now, look, if you're honestly, if this is going to be a real assassination attempt against your life, right? And then, well, he's not going to do that because, they'll smoke him. Well, supposedly they already tried that.
Sure.
And supposedly you're Teflon Don and all this stuff, and you're going to fight. And like I said, I'm not discounting that stuff.
Sure.
And maybe it really happened the way we're being explained to happen. But if that is the case, then you have to release all the JFK documents, because now you're that guy. What would JFK do if he survived? And in turn, RFK Jr. really should support Donald Trump, and they should do Wonder Team Powers Activate, and really he should be the VP. And then you'd have this super Wonder Twin Powers Activate, and we're going to tell everybody who killed JFK. We're going to drain the swamp, and we're going to reduce inflation, and we're going to end the Fed, and do all these other things that nobody wants to do and nobody will ever do. And if we never do it, nothing will get better. If you don't cancel the bankers, man, it's just going to continue to get deeper and deeper. But is there anything else?
That's it. We spent 30 minutes talking.
That's it on the Trump thing.
There you go.
And I wanted,
we're getting off the Trump train.
I want to do our main topics first, because I know other people aren't interested in some of our other segments. So we're going to continue to tweak and meddle with our format to get you all the optimal what you want. Because I mean, that's what we do.
That's what we do. We're here to please. So
we give people what they want.
Yeah.
So now, do we want to jump into the other topic, or do you want to hit a segment, or what do you want to do, Matt?
Yeah, well, before we get into it, we'll do the other main topic, but
Okay.
before we do, just wanted to announce something real quick to y'all. Anybody that is around the Northeast Texas area, around Mount Pleasant, Texas, we are going to be having a cow available this month within a couple weeks. So if anybody is interested in that, go ahead and email us at countrytexasboys@gmail.com. We already have one person that is interested in getting half.
I think a half, but
around a half, maybe.
Nobody has secured a quarter, a half, or anything. So
yeah,
it's first come, first serve. We have 4 quarters available.
Are those on the website?
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna update, make sure those are available on the website. We are fully revamping the website too. So that's going to be a little bit tricky because we only have PayPal for right now. But anyway, if you are interested, nevertheless, if you are interested in getting a cow and you are serious about that, we sell wholes, halves, and quarters. We have one cow that is going to the butcher, and it is grass-fed and grain finished. And yeah, so if you are interested and you are within driving distance of Mount Pleasant, Texas, go ahead and give us a holler over at countrytexasboys@gmail.com, and we'll give you all the info as soon as you email us over there. So I think that's it. And I would shout out TheTexasBoys.com, but it's still under repair.
The new website will be up hopefully within 30 days.
Awesome.
So
great.
We're working on it.
Yep.
It's not cheap,
no,
but we're working on it. And thank you for your continued support.